delta star of q naught on epsilon is defined as epsilon closure of q0. Now you can see q0, epsilon closure of q0 is q0, then q0 on epsilon e and q0 on epsilon is e. So we have q0 e. Okay. Now delta star of q0 on 0. Now look at this. This 0 should be written as xa. So your x becomes epsilon and a becomes 0. And we have already calculated q0 on epsilon, that is q0 ae. So for q0 on 0, we are taking the transition, that is phi. So q0 on 0, then a on 0 is a, and e on 0 is f. So we have phi a f and epsilon closure of a comma f. So epsilon closure of a is a itself and epsilon closure of f is f itself. So we have delta star of q0 on 0 is a comma. Now delta star of q0 on 0 0. So for 0 we have already calculated as a comma f. So I am writing directly. So a on 1. For 0 0 it should be x is a and a is 0. So this we have delta star of q0 on 0 is already calculated in previous step. So a comma f. So a on 1 is d. A on 0 is a and f on 0 is g. So a g. Now epsilon closure of a g is a epsilon closure is a itself and epsilon closure of g is, now you can see it is g and d, because a to epsilon, a on epsilon, g on epsilon is going to d. So we have included d. Now d on epsilon is q0, so we have included q0, and q0 on epsilon is a and e, so we have included a and also e. So this is your delta star of q0 0 0. Continuing in this manner, we will reach delta star of q0 on 0 0 1 0 is this CFD q0 a. Now my set of final states is D. So this intersection D is not equal to 5. That means at least there is one final state. Some final state is existing in this. So your input string 0 0 1 0 is accepted. That is how you can process a given input string. Now you can see, as I said earlier I said NFA is not powerful than DFA. So NFA epsilon is also not powerful than NFA or DFA. That means every NFA epsilon can be converted back into NFA, or you can convert it into equivalent DFA. So how do we convert? I am taking an NFA epsilon and I am trying to convert it into equivalent NFA. Now the formula you have to remember is this, where delta 1 is the transition function of your NFA which we are going to calculate, and delta is for given NFA epsilon. So I am applying delta star. So delta 1 of your NFA is equal to delta star of NFA epsilon. It is same for NFA, DFA also. Now look at the calculation of delta 1 of A on 0. So the set of states in your NFA and NFA epsilon will be same. Only change will occur in the transitions. There will be no epsilon transitions. Now let us see how to calculate for each and every state. Delta 1 of A comma 0 is nothing but delta star of A comma 0. Now delta star of A comma 0, if you observe the definition of delta star, it will be epsilon closure of A. Epsilon closure of A is A, B, T. and comma 0. So we have to apply A on 0, B on 0, D on 0, and then we have to take the epsilon closure. So A on 0 is A, B on 0 is C, then D on 0 is D, and its epsilon closure. So A's epsilon closure is A, B, D. So I am including D. A, B, D, and this is already calculated in the transition for 0. So now I am getting delta 1 of A on 0. In your NFA, it will go to A, B, C, D. This D is included because it is epsilon closure of A. A on 0 is A, B on 0 is C, then D on 0 is D, and epsilon closure of ACD is nothing but epsilon closure of A and epsilon closure of C, epsilon closure of D, their union, which will be A, B, C, D. This is how you have to calculate. You have to be very careful here because if you miss at least if one parameter is missed, then everything is going to be wrong. All the entire NFA will be wrong. So you have to be very careful. Now I'll go for A on 1. So first I have to take epsilon closure of A, that is ABD, and now I have to take A on 1. A on 1 is 5 because there is no transition for A on 1. You can see the transition table. A on 1 is 5. Then B on 1 is also 5. So B on 1 is also 5. Then D on 1. D on 1 is also 5. This is how I have written this. You have to look the definition of delta star. So this is epsilon closure of A applied for 1 and then epsilon closure. So this 5, epsilon closure of 5 is 5. So there are no transitions for A on 1 because this is NFA, it will do good. Now delta 1 of B comma 0. So next state B comma 0. Now there is no renaming of the combination of states just like in NFA and DFA because your NFA can go to more than one state. So B on 0 is C comma D and B on 1 is 5, continuing in this manner. For example, I will go for C comma 1. So C comma 1 means first you have to take the epsilon closure of C comma 1 is epsilon closure of C and C on 1. So epsilon closure of C is C and C on 1 is B. And epsilon closure of B is B, D. So I got B comma D. This is how you have to calculate. For example, if you go for delta 1 of D on 1, then epsilon closure of D is a D and D on 1 is 5 and epsilon closure of 5 is 5. That is how I have written. So you have to be familiar with this transitions and converting from NFA to NFA epsilon so that you can save time. Otherwise, if you keep on writing all the formulas and one by one, then it's going to be very lengthy and you cannot get it in the required time. So this is what I have calculated and you can see your NFA which I have drawn. So A on 0 is A, B, C, D. So A on 0, A, B, C, D and so on. So this is your NFA which is equivalent to your NFA epsilon. If you want, you can see and you can give input strings. For example, in the previous slide I have given the input 0, 0, 1, 0. Now let me see what happens for this. 0, 0, 1, 0. I am coming to D. 0, A on 0 is B, B on 0 is C, then C on 1 is B and B on 0 is D. So I am able to accept not only this path, there are many other paths. For example, if you want to see another path, say A on 0 is 0, then one more 0, A on 0 will go to C, then C on 1 will go to D and D on 0 will go to D. D is a final state. So we accept 0, 0, 1, 0. Now you can see one more thing is here A is non-final state and here A is final state. How it is fixed means this is the formula. For fixing the final states in NFA, final states in NFA will be same as final states in NFA epsilon if your initial state in NFA epsilon that is epsilon closure of Q0 contains some final state. That means, what is the meaning of this? From Q0, if you take epsilon transitions, you can reach one of the final states. That is the meaning of this. Epsilon closure of Q0 intersection F is equal to 5 means you cannot reach. So intersection 5 means there are no final states in epsilon closure of Q0. Then both will be same. Otherwise, if you are able to reach, otherwise means it is not equal to 5. That means some of the final states are available in epsilon closure of Q0. That means from Q0 you can reach some of the final states, and hence Q0 is made as final state. So F union Q0 along with the final states, Q0 is also a final state. Right? So that is how this is fixed. Now you can check any other things. If it is rejected in NFA epsilon, it will be rejected in NFA also. Now this example is the same example which I have worked out in the same from the same textbook, John C. Martin. This diagram is from the example John C. Martin. So this is I have already done NFA epsilon to NFA. So you can convert this NFA into DFA, or there is a direct method of converting NFA epsilon to DFA. How you can convert is like this. Instead of making this ABCD as different states, if you make this as a single state, for example, you can see here A on 0 is, instead of making A, B, C, D as different states, this is in NFA. That is not valid in DFA. So what we are doing is A on 0, we are making ABCD as a single state. So what we are doing is you have to calculate what is on 0, ABCD on 0 using this, not this, using this. Because we are trying to convert NFA epsilon to DFA. So what you have to do, you have to take epsilon closure of A, B, C, D and take that set, and on 0 you see what you get, and then take epsilon closure, then you get A, B, C, D. Right? So that is how you have to calculate. For example, you want to see suppose A, B, C, D on 1, what do you get? Now epsilon closure of ABCD is ABCD, so you get ABCD. A on 1, 5, B on 1, 5, C on 1, C on 1 is B, and D on 1, 5. So you get B. Now epsilon closure of B is B and D. That is why ABCD on 1 is BD. This is how you can directly calculate NFA epsilon to NFA. If you want to get this procedure is available in old textbook, compiler design by Upcraft and Woolman. You can check there. So I think it is some of the old textbooks, it is there. Now one more example, little bit slightly different. So this is the language I have, and this is the corresponding NFA epsilon, and this is the corresponding NFA, and this is the corresponding DFA. Now you can see the difficulty in drawing NFA and DFA. You cannot draw directly this DFA. It's very difficult for you to observe that drawing this DFA is difficult, but drawing NFA is also a little bit difficult. You can observe here. Drawing NFA epsilon is easy. We will see how we will draw NFA epsilon for a given language. So now we will see the regular expression and then to DFA. That means for a given regular expression, that means if there is a regular expression in your hand, we can design the NFA epsilon. So if you observe the definition of regular expressions, if you observe the definition of regular expressions, it will tell you a regular expression is defined as so and so. I'll tell you, there are three basic regular expressions. One is phi, and another is phi, epsilon, and A. These three are basic regular expressions. From this, we are building the complex regular expressions. So, by applying repeatedly some operations. So, first I am showing you, look at this NFA epsilon. In this NFA epsilon, this is final state, initial state, and this is final state. So, we have final state and initial state and final state. Now, from initial state to final state, there is no path. That means you cannot reach final state. In other words, if I say what strings will be accepted in this NFA epsilon, nothing, because if you start from initial state, there is no way for you to reach final state. So I say the language for this language accepted by this NFA epsilon is phi, because it is not accepting any whether it is a single symbol or a string or any string. No string is making you to reach from initial state to final state. So it is phi, and hence I can treat this as NFA epsilon for phi, for null language. And similarly, this no other transitions except initial state, and that itself is final state. So you start in final state, initial state, and you reach or you stay there without any transitions. So the language accepted here is null string, nothing. Then next, for any input symbol, that input symbol will itself will act as the regular expression, where the language contains only one string, and that string is E. So this is the NFA epsilon. Now if you look at this NFA epsilon, so from initial state to final state, there is only one input symbol. So using one input symbol A, I can reach initial state to final state. So this NFA epsilon will accept the regular language which contains only one string, that is A, right? From this basic three, we are building the complex regular expressions for R1 plus R2, R1, R2, and R1 star. These are the operations we are applying to the regular expressions, and then we are forming, for example, A plus B, then A plus A, B star, and so on. Any regular expression you take will be formed from these three operations. Now I will show you, if R1 and R2 are two regular expressions, then there is, let us assume that R1 is the NFA epsilon, or if you look at this, this is the NFA epsilon for R1 and this is NFA epsilon for R2. I am giving you only the outer picture. You will have initial state and you will have final state. So from R1, any string from R1 will make you to reach final states here, and any string in R2, if you start here, you can reach here, right? Now if R1 plus R2, if you want to draw a NFA epsilon for R1 plus R2, this is how you can draw. A new initial state is introduced here, new initial state, and from the new initial state on epsilon, you can go to initial state of R1, or you can go to initial state of R2. This is R2, NFA for R2. So either you can go here or here, and now if you look at this picture, the final states of R1 and the final states of R2 are made non-final states. Now they are not final states. All final states are made non-final states, and a new final state is introduced. New final state is introduced, and from the previous final states, which are now no more final states, an epsilon transition is included to the final state. Epsilon transition is included to the final states. So it is included. Now suppose some string belongs to R1 plus R2. What does it mean? If a string belongs to R1 plus R2, the string belongs to R1 plus R2. Just a minute, I'll change the color. So if a string belongs to R1 plus R2, that means it should be either from R1 or it should be from R2. Then it should be accepted. It should be accepted by this NFA epsilon, because this NFA epsilon is for L of R1 and L of R2. L of R1 plus R2 is nothing but L1 union L2, or L of R1 union L of R2. So if it is from R1, it will follow this path. If it is from R2, it will follow this path, and it will accept. It will reach the final state. It will reach here, and because there is an epsilon transition to final state, it will reach here. So this is for L of R1 plus R2. Similarly for L of R1, R2. Now you can see I will start from R1 and go to some of the final states. Now these are non-final states. You look at this. Now the final states of R1 are non-final states, and an epsilon transition is made to the initial state of R2 or M2. In other words, it is M2. FA accepting L of R2, and I will reach final states. So if you want to accept some string in this NFA epsilon, first you have to go through R1, followed by you have to go to R2. In between there is epsilon, but any string concatenated with epsilon, and then this will be equal to x1, x2. If this is x1 and this is x2, x1 epsilon x2 will be x1, x2. So whatever string you give to this, if it is accepted here, it is nothing but a string from R1 concatenated with the string from R2. That is how it has been developed or designed. Now this is R1 star. So when you have a FA for accepting L of R1, then you should have repetition of the strings from R1. You should have repetition of string from R1 0 or more number of times. If you observe, this is for 0 times, that is initial state to final state. New initial state, or you can have that initial state and a new final state. Now these are non-final states. Earlier they were final states, and on epsilon I am going here. Now if you follow this path, you will accept null string. Suppose you follow from initial state to any of these final states and an epsilon, you will go to final state. That is one time. If you want 2 times, you can use this epsilon transition from final state to initial state, and then once again go back. If you want 1 time, you can come from here to here and stay there. 0 times, you can be here. 1 time. If you want 2 times repetition or 2 times concatenation of strings from R1, then 1 time, and then make an epsilon transition, and then from here you can go to final state. That will 2 times, or you can have any number of times. So that is how you can draw the NFA epsilon for given regular expression. Now I am taking an example. 1 plus 1 0 whole star. Right. 1 plus 1 0 whole star, 1 1 star, 1 1 plus 0 1. So what is this? I'll just build the NFA epsilons starting from the basics. For example, you see everything is 1 and 0. So you can see this is 1. So this is NFA epsilon for 1, and this is NFA epsilon for 1 star. 1, then 1 star. I have just simplified. I am not introducing new final states and so on, because you have to construct in the shortest time in your examination. So I am simplifying. I am not going exactly as per your definition, because I can just make the shortcuts. Right. So this is 1 and this is 1 star. Now what I require is 1 R 1 0 whole star. Now look at this. This is 1 R 1 0. Initial state to final state. Either you can go with the 1 or you can go via this. So it is 1 R 1 0. Now whole star. So you require 1 or 1 0 whole star. So this is your initial state and this is your final state. So initial state to final state, epsilon transition, and final state to initial state. So this is your 1 or 1 0 whole star. Then 1 1 or 0 1. Now look at this. Initial state, final state. Either you can use 1 1 or you can use 0 1. So 1 1 or 0 1. This is for 1 1 or 0 1. So this path is for 0 1 and this path is for 1 1. So this is 1 1 or 0 1. Now I require concatenation of this 1 or 1 0 whole star, then 1 1 star. This is 1 followed by 1 star followed by 1 1 or 0 1. So look at this. This is your 1 or 1 0. Look at this. This is 1 or 1 0 whole star, then concatenated with 1, then concatenated with 1 star. This is for 1 star. Then concatenated with 1 1 or 0 1. Very easy. Simply you just follow the basic things, then you will get NFA epsilon for given regular expression. Now this is some notation which you can accept as if it is a regular expression, but originally it's not a regular expression. But most people will admit it as a regular expression. 1 1 star is nothing but 1 plus, means 1 or more occurrences. It's not 0, 1 or more occurrence. This is 0 or more occurrence and this is 1 occurrence. So totally you get 1 or more occurrences, and this is how you can draw an NFA for 1 plus NFA epsilon. And this is for 1 0 whole plus 1 0. You observe there is no epsilon transition from initial state to final state, because you cannot use epsilon. You cannot get epsilon here. At least one is required. So at least one path should be there from initial state to final state, and there should not be no epsilon transitions from initial state to final state. Right? Then you can to reach final state, you have to at least use one time. Then if you want 2 times, you can continue this one, but at least 1 time is required. That is how I get for plus. Now this is another way of writing NFA epsilons. I am just taking this entire regular expression. You can see the entire regular expression initial state to final state. But transition should occur only on the single input symbol. So I am just making it dividing it. The regular expression is now decomposed into, first you require 0 or 1 whole star. So 0 or 1 can be repeated any number of times, 0 or more times, followed by 0 0 or 1 1. So followed by 0 0 or 1 1. Then you can repeat 0 or 1 0 any number of times. So this is your initial state to final state. Then because this 0 0 or 1 1, it cannot be a exact transition diagram, because you have to show the transitions only on input symbol, single input symbol. This is 0 0 or 1 1. So 0 the state and then 0 or 1 1. Now you can have 0 or 1 0. So it can be 0 or it can be 1 0. It can be 0 or it can be 1 0. 0 comma 1 you can keep it. This notation is for 2 transitions. Q0 on 0 is 0, then Q0 on 1 is also Q0. Right? This is how I am drawing the NFA epsilon. So having seen how to draw NFA epsilon, now you know how to convert NFA epsilon to NFA, and then you can convert NFA to DFA. Right? Now we can convert FA to regular expression. Given a finite automata, we can find regular expression. For doing this thing, or for doing this, you require to remember some of the identities for regular expressions, which will help you in simplifying the given regular expression. Now look at this. Everything is self-explanatory. You can just go through them. For example, 5 plus r, that is null string r, some regular expression r is nothing but r, because strings from this are strings from this. Now this 5 will contain no strings and r will contain some strings defined by r. So it is same as saying r. If you concatenate 5 with any regular expression, you can see now, because there is nothing, there is no string at all for you to concatenate with the strings of r, so the result is going to be 5. These two are different. One is 5 and one is epsilon. Epsilon concatenated with r and r concatenated with epsilon is r. Now you can go through everything, but this is important. 5 star is epsilon. Repeating 5 0 times is epsilon. And this is another one which you have to remember. So this is epsilon r star r is same as r star. Why? Because in r star r you can repeat strings from r 0 times, but it should be concatenated with strings from r at least one time. Any number of times, suppose you take 0 times, then you will get one string from r, that is one occurrence. Suppose you take this one, then it will become two strings from r. I'm just writing r. It means strings from r, say x1, x2, x1. All are from r. At least one time you require. But if you take this as one time, because this r, this, you can take epsilon, r you can take r, you can take rr, and so on. So this, if you consider this and this, you can see that the combination of these two, union of these two, is nothing but r star. Similarly, you can go, or you can just check any other identities for regular expressions. This is just decomposing, distributing your regular expression over union, concatenation, distribution of concatenation over union. But you can observe this is not commutative, because the concatenation is not commutative. P plus Q, R is PR and QR. You cannot say RP because it is not commutative, right? One more important thing is in converting the regular expression FA to regular expression, this you have to remember, Arden's theorem. It says like this: if Q and P are any two regular expressions, you see Q and P are any two regular expressions, and you have an equation. The condition is that this P should not contain epsilon. P should not contain epsilon. That is the condition. You can see the statement of Arden's theorem. So if Q and P are two regular expressions and we have an equation in Q and P saying R equal to Q plus RP, then its solution is R equal to QP star. R equal to QP star. The condition is that P should not contain epsilon. This you have to remember. P should not contain epsilon. This solution is valid only in case P should not contain epsilon. If it contains epsilon, this solution is not correct. Right? So this you have to remember. Once you remember this, then we can go for making FA to RE. If you don't remember this, there is other method of converting FA to RE, but it is going to be very roundabout method. So you have to remember this. So how do we get a regular expression for a given FA? The assumption to apply this method to FA is that there are no epsilon moves. That means you cannot apply this method to NFA epsilon. You can apply this to NFA or DFA. No NFA epsilon. If it is there and you want to find out regular expression, then you have to convert NFA epsilon to either NFA or to DFA. Then there is only one final state. Only one final state. Only one initial state, not final state. I'm sorry. There is only one initial state. Sometimes, usually, so far we have drawn all FEs with only one initial state. Sometimes, while converting or while doing some simplifications, you may get two initial states, but you can convert the two initial states into single initial state. You can search online for how to convert. Just include a new initial state, and from that initial state, you just make an epsilon transitions to the other initial states. Then there will become no more initial state, and you can eliminate those epsilon transitions. That is a different procedure. If you want, you can search online. Right? So I am assuming that only one initial state. It's very simple. If you want to see, I'll draw here. Suppose there is an FA with two initial states like this. Don't bother about what is there after this. Suppose there is an FA with two initial states. Then what I do is I'll introduce a new initial state like this, and on epsilon I'll make like this, and remaining things are there. Now you know how to eliminate epsilon transitions from an NFA. So you can eliminate these epsilon transitions from this NFA. Then you will get an NFA with a single initial state. So assuming that your NFA or your FA in general, so it can be NFA or it can be DFA. Assuming that these two assumptions are there, I am proceeding for the method. Let us assume that V1, V2, V3, dash dash Vn are the states of the FA. That means there are n states in the FA. You can go for Q0 to Qn. It doesn't matter. I'm just making V stands for vertex in a graph. So V1, V2, V3, Vn are the nodes of the transition graph, or in other words, states of your FA. Alpha ij is the regular expression denoting the labels of edges. It's a regular expression. Almost every label is nothing but a single input symbol. In your FA, every label of your edge is a single input symbol, and single input symbol is a regular expression. So it's a regular expression representing the labels from Vi to Vj. Alpha ij means I to j, from node I to node j. When there is no edge, your alpha ij will be treated as phi. Your alpha ij will be treated as phi. When there is an edge, the symbol which you see from Vi to Vj on the edge from Vi to Vj will be your regular expression. Now you have to form the equations. You have to form the equations for all the nodes. We have n nodes, so V1 to Vn. Now what is the equation? V1 alpha 1 1, V2 alpha 2 1. If you observe, alpha 2 1 means the label of the edge which is coming from node 2 to node 1, or vertex 2 to vertex 1, or state 2 to 1, alpha n1, state n to state 1. That means you are making all the regular expressions, which are coming into 1. Look at this. I am making the equation for 1. So from all other states, what are the transitions that are coming into V1? We are making a regular expression, or we are making an equation with those things plus epsilon. This extra epsilon is only for initial state. That is what you have to remember. Because initial state can be reached without any input symbol also. So this you have to remember. Then V2. V2 is nothing but V1, that is from state 1, then you can go for 1 to 2. From state 2, 2 to 2. From state n, n to 2. That means everything that is coming into state 2 and everything that is coming into state n, because there are only n final states. Now, once you form these equations, you have to apply the substitutions of these. It is nothing but solving the equations, solving different equations with the n unknowns, and you can apply Arden's theorem, and repeatedly you do these things until you achieve some regular expression. So we get Vi in terms of only alpha ij, because Vi is a state Qi or Q1, it's not a regular expression. So we get Vi equation in terms of alpha ij's. What is alpha ij? It's a regular expression. So the regular expression for our given Fa is nothing but the union of the regular expressions of final states. If only one final state is there, you obtain one regular expression. If there are two final states, say V1 and V5, then V1 plus V5, the regular expression for V1 and the regular expression for V5 will be your answer. We'll work out an example, then you'll understand easily. Look at this. An FA, so there is only one initial state and there are no epsilon transitions, so I can apply the method. Forming the equations is very simple. Look at this Q1, it is initial state. You can take Q0 also, right? Q1. Now this epsilon is added because this Q1 is initial state. Then Q1 to Q1, there is no transition, so that Q1 is missing. So we are not going for V1 alpha 1 1. So V1 is Q1, alpha 1 1, there is nothing which reaches from 1 to 1, so that term is missing. That is 5. 5 means nothing, so we eliminate that. Then V2 alpha 2 1, V2 is Q2, alpha 2 1, that means an edge that will make you to reach from Q2 to Q1 is B. So Q2B. Next Q3B. So from state Q3, how do you go to Q1? You have to use A. So Q3A. And this epsilon is just because Q1 is initial state. For Q2, there is an edge coming from vertex 1. So Q1A. Q1A. And there are no other edges coming into Q2. So other terms are missing. So you don't need to write Q2 because alpha 2 is 5. 5 and anything is 5. If you see the identities for regular expressions, you see 5 concatenated with anything. It could be anything. Will give you 5. That is why I am not writing the Q2 term or Q3 term or Q4 term for the equations of Q2, because it is there are no edges that are coming into Q2 except from Q1. Similarly for Q3, there is one edge coming from Q1 to Q3. So Q1B. And from Q2 you cannot reach Q3, and from Q4 you cannot reach Q3, right? Then Q4. Q4 you can from Q2 you can come to Q4 on A, so Q2A, then Q3B, then Q4. There are two edges. A comma B means it is two edges. So Q4A plus Q4B. Instead of that, I have simplified and I have written Q4A plus B. This is what I have applied here. For example, look at this identity. Q4, this identity. I have used this. Q4, Q4A, Q4B. So that I have simplified and I have written Q4A plus B. So this is Q4 A plus B. Now these are the four equations I have. Now I have to make substitutions and do whatever you want to do and you achieve. Now what I require is, because Q1 is the final state, I should attain or I should get the regular expression for Q1. This is final state, so I should get the regular expression for Q1. I will see in Q1 there are two things which are not known to me. One is Q2, another is Q3. So I will see what is Q2 and what is Q3. Q2 is Q1A and Q3 is Q1B. You see, in the equation of Q1, Q2 I have written Q1A and Q3 I have written Q1B. So Q1A and this B is B. So substituting Q2 and Q3 in Q1, I get this. Q3 is Q1B and then A plus epsilon. Now look at this. These two, Q1 is common, so Q1 of AB plus BA epsilon. If you apply Arden's theorem for this, R equal to Q plus RP. Arden's theorem is R equal to Q plus RP. So what is R here? R here is Q1. Q1 R equal to Q. Q is epsilon. P is AB plus BA, and this does not contain epsilon. That is why I said there are no epsilon moves. Right? So now what is the solution? R equal to Q P star. Q is epsilon. P is AB plus BA whole star. So epsilon concatenated with something is same. So what is your Q1? Q1 is AB plus BA whole star. So if you look at the diagram, AB or BA repeated any number of times, your string will be accepted. There is no way. If you enter into Q4, you cannot come back. This is indefinite state or dead state. If you want to accept the strings, it can be null string Q1 or AB or BA any number of times. You can repeat it any number of times, you will be in final state. That is why the answer is going to be correct. If you want, you can check. Most of the times you can get it by observation. One more example. Equation for Q1 is Q1 0 and there is no other thing coming into Q1, so plus epsilon, because this is initial state. So apply Arden's theorem, R equal to Q plus RP. Now P is 0, Q is epsilon. So R equal to Q P star. So Q1 is 0 star. Now what about Q2? Q2 is Q1 1, then Q2 1. So what is Q1? Q1 is 0 star. 0 star 1 plus Q2 1. Now this is R equal to Q plus RP. So R equal to Q P star. Now Q is 0 star 1, P is 1. So Q P star. 0 star 1, 1 star. So your regular expression is now, there are two final states Q1 and Q2. So regular expression for Q1 is 0 star and regular expression for Q2 is 0 star 1, 1 star. So 0 star is common, I have taken. Then 0 star means, now this is epsilon, this is 1, 1 star. Epsilon 1, 1 star is 1 star. This is, if you want, you can check in algebraic identities for regular expressions. Look at this I9. Epsilon plus R star is R star. That I applied here. Epsilon plus R star is R star. Your R is 1. Right? Now this is 0 star. 0 star, star. So this is for the language which contains one, which does not contain 1 0 as substring. Look at this. If you have 1 0, you will never accept. Q3 is indefinite state. If you have 1 0, we will never accept the string. As long as there is no 1 0 in the string, we will accept. One more. This is your NFA. transfer 0 or 1 whole star concatenated with 1 1 or 0 0. Let us find our regular expression for this NFA. You can look at the equation of Q0. So Q0, we have Q0 on 0, Q0 on 1 is going to Q0. So Q0 of 0 comma 1, 0 plus 1 plus epsilon, because this is the initial state. So Q0 is 0 or 1 whole star according to R dash theta. Then Q1 is Q0 1. You can go to Q1 from Q0 only using 1. So it is Q0 1. Now what is Q0? Q0 is already calculated 0 or 1 whole star. So this is your Q1. Similarly Q2 is Q1 1. So this is your Q1 and this is 1. Q1 1. Similarly this is for Q4. So what is your regular expression required? It is the union of your final states Q2 and Q4. So this is for Q2 and this is for Q4. Now look at this. This is how I have got 0 or 1 whole star, 1 1 or 0 0. 0 or 1 whole star, 1 1 or 0 0. Next. Now, our next topic is minimization of DFA. For doing minimization of DFA, because I said there are many DFAs for a given language. How can we check whether two DFAs accept the same language or not? Or how can we check whether the NFA and DFA will accept the same language or not? That we will see whether how two DFAs are equal or not later. Before that, what we require is we need to minimize the DFA. Let us minimize the DFA. So this procedure can be applicable. It is applicable only for DFA, not for NFA and not for NFA epsilon. You have to convert them into DFA, equivalent DFAs, and then you can minimize. So how we minimize is, we should form a table in which rows and columns are the states. Rows are also states, columns are also states. So every entry in the table is a pair of states. It's like a matrix. A of I comma j and A of j comma k and so on. So what you have to do is, you have to make a table consisting of pairs of states. Then from that table, first what we have to do is, we have to mark in that table, we have to mark all pairs. So this is just like this. So you'll have tables, right, like this, where suppose P and Q are my states, then P and Q, rows and columns. If you want this is nothing but P comma P, and this is nothing but P comma Q, and this is Q comma P. P comma Q or Q comma P, both will be treated as same. Q comma Q. Whether a pair is P comma Q or pair is Q comma P, both will be treated as same. So I don't require the entire table. You can just cut this off, and you can have only P comma Q. Because I have only two states, I am getting only one column. If you have four states, you will get different columns. So I need not go for P comma Q and Q comma P computation. So if I calculate for Q comma P, it is same as P comma Q. So I can take only the diagonal rows along from above this diagonal. I need not calculate, because they are already calculated. So in that table, what you have to do is you have to mark the entries in which the pair is one is final state and one is non-final state. Look at this. If one of them is final state and one of them is non-final state, then you put a mark, whether it is tick mark or anything, you just make a mark that this P comma Q is marked. Then this is the first step. So there will be some unmarked pairs. If you have any unmarked pairs, say R comma S. So in the entry, there are some entries for which that cell corresponds to R comma S. So you take unmarked entry and you have your set of input symbols. A belongs to sigma. So for some input symbol, you take some input symbol. You have to check this for all input symbols. You take the input symbol A and see what happens delta of R comma A and delta of S comma A, that pair. R is a state, S is a state. So you see what is delta on some input symbol. Suppose this is marked. You get another state and another state. If this pair is marked, then you have to mark R comma S. The unmarked pair should be marked now. Unmarked pair on input A going to a marked pair, then you mark that pair R comma S. You repeat this step 2 until, so as you go on continuing this, your table is a finite set of states, so entries are finite, and you go on repeating this until no more pairs can be marked. First you complete one rotation or one iteration of all unmarked pairs, then new things will be marked. Then once again repeat this and repeat this until no unmarked pairs or no pairs can be marked. Then all unmarked pairs after this step are said as equivalent states. Suppose a pair is there like S comma T and this is unmarked. Then it means that S equal to T. These two states are equal. So in your DFA, you can combine those two states. Now let us apply this procedure to an example. I have taken a DFA and this is my DFA and I have drawn its transition table so that it is going to be easy for me to see what pair goes to which pair on transitions. Now I am taking only the pairs below one diagonal, right? So I need not carry out for AA pair because checking the equality of state A with state A is meaningless. So I am not taking AA. So if you look at the first column, it is B comma A, C comma A, D comma A, E comma A, and so on. Then next, I am going only for C comma B because B comma C or C comma B both are same. So C comma B will not be available. So this is the pair I am taking, and this is the table which I have done, and you can see the number 1 in some columns or some entries. There are some entries with 1 which indicates that in the first iteration, I have marked these pairs. These are marked in the first iteration. What is the first iteration? The first iteration in the procedure says you mark P comma Q where P belongs to F and Q does not belong to F, or vice versa. That means final and non-final states are marked because they are not equal. Now you see the final state for me is F. Final state for me is F. You can see in the diagram. This is final state and this is your initial state. Right? So now you can see FA is marked because F is final state, A is non-final state. Similarly, FB, FC, FD, FE, and FG. The G and F are also final and non-final states. So this is first one. Now the second step says take the unmarked pairs and do something, right? So I am taking the unmarked pair A comma B. B comma A or A comma B, both are same. So I am taking A comma B on 0. So I am taking an input symbol. You can take 0 or you can take 1. First let me take 0. So the pair A comma B on 0, that is state A on 0, state B on 0. State A on 0 is B and state B on 0 is D. You can see in the diagram, state B on 0 is D. So it is going to B comma D. Now you see what is B comma D. B comma D. This is unmarked. So A comma B cannot be marked because of this, because it is going to unmarked pair. Now, similarly, A comma B on 1. A on 1 is C. B on 1 is E. C comma E, and C comma E is also C comma E. Where is C comma E? C comma E is also unmarked. So you cannot mark A comma B in this iteration. Next, A comma C. The next one is A comma C. Now look at A comma C. It is unmarked in first iteration. I am in the second iteration, right? A comma C. Now A comma C on 0, that is A on 0 B, C on 0 is F. So A comma C on 0 is going to a pair B comma F, which is marked. B comma F. You can see B comma F is marked in first iteration. So because a pair is going to a unmarked pair on some input symbol is going to a marked pair. So this unmarked pair is now marked. That means in the second iteration I am marking A comma C. Now look at this, A comma C is marked with number 2. That means during second iteration I have marked it. Similarly, continuing in this manner, A comma D will not be marked and A comma E is marked. If you want, you can see A comma E on 0. A on 0 is B and E on 0 is F. E on 0 is F. So this is marked pair. So your A comma E will be marked in the second iteration. And you can continue. You need not check for A comma F because it is already marked. And A comma G. A comma G is also marked because it is going to some unmarked pair. This is unmarked, going to a marked pair, so this is marked. And so on. Continuing in this manner, your pairs marked in second iteration are shown in the table, are shown in the slide. So everything on second. Now if you continue in third iteration, the third iteration will not make any marked pairs further, or no new marked pairs are found. All unmarked pairs will remain as unmarked by applying step 2. So your iteration 2 and iteration 3 are same. Nothing is marked in iteration 3. So what you see is the finalizer table, and all unmarked pairs now are treated as equivalent. You see A comma B is unmarked, A comma D is unmarked, B comma D is unmarked. Now AB is equal and AD is equal. It means A, B and D are equal. BD is equal means A, B and D are equal. Similarly CE, so you can see CE and CG, then EG. So CE and EG are equal means C, E and G all are equal. Now I can combine A, B, D and make a single street. Let me call it as A. You can call it with anything. So now your initial state will be this. Now C, E, G are combined and let me call it as C. Whether you name it with E or you name it with G, name doesn't matter. Only one state, right? All three will become one state. So in my DFA, which is minimized, these three will be combined into one, and these three will be combined into one. So now A and C will remain, and there is F, that is final state. B and D are absorbed into A, and then E and G are absorbed into C, or any manner, right? So what is A on 0? A on 0 is B, but B and A are same, so A on 0 is E. Similarly, A on 1 is C. A on 1 is C. So C. Or you can see B on 1. If you see B on 1, it will go to E. B on 1 is going to E, but E and C are same. Right? So A on 1 is either C or E or G, everything is same. If you see D on 1, D on 1 is E. So C and E are equal. That is why whether it is A or B or D, everything will give you the same result. Similarly for C also. C on 1 is C. Now you can see C on 1. C on 1 is G. But what is G? G is same as C. That is why C on 1. Now you see this. This is my DFA, which is minimized and equal to this DFA. Right? And if you try to minimize this is what I will get. No unmarked pairs. Look at this. I have taken this DFA and tried to minimize. When I try to minimize, there are no unmarked pairs. All are marked. That means each and every state is different. A is different, C is different, F is different. So this is the transition table. So suppose somebody designs a DFA which is equal to this DFA. There is this is M, say M1. Suppose somebody draws M2, another DFA which is equal to this DFA. Then if you try to minimize this and if you try to minimize M2 also, it will also come and stop here. The minimization will make you to come back to this minimized DFA, right? So minimized DFA for any language is unique. That is what you have to understand. So for this language, the DFA less than this number of states is not possible. So if you draw a DFA for the language of this accepted by this M1 or M2 or this, it is always, if you find if you minimize all those DFAs, all of them will be minimized to this because it is unique, and less than this many number of states is not possible. That is why we will find out the minimization of the DFA. Then you can apply this procedure to any DFA. You can take and apply. Equivalence of two DFAs. Given two DFAs, how do we find out whether two DFAs are equal, or in other words, saying whether the languages accepted by the DFAs are equal? For example, M1 and M2 are two DFAs. Say checking whether DFA M1 is equal to M2 is same as L of M1 is equal to L of M2. Same as whether both of them will accept the same language or not. Checking M1 equal to M2, in other words, is same as checking whether L of M1 is equal to L of M2 or not. Both of them should accept the strings, same set of strings, and both of them should also reject the same set of strings. Then we say both are equal. Now, how do we check? Let us assume that M and M dash are the two DFAs that are given. This you can apply only for DFA, not for NFA or NFA epsilon. Let us assume that there are no epsilon transitions, nothing, only DFA we are taking, and let us assume that M and M dash are given. Then how do we check whether these two things are equal or not, whether these two DFAs are equal or not? So what we do is we construct rows that correspond to pair of states. We keep on constructing a table for which the rows are pairs of states. Columns are sigma, that is the set of input symbols. So each row will be corresponding to a pair, for example P comma Q, and each column will be, if your input is A comma B, input symbols AB. If it is ABC, then it will be ABC. If it is 0, 1, 2, it will be 0, 1, 2. The number of columns will be equal to the number of alphabet symbols. Now, number of pairs is not, number of rows is not fixed. So each will correspond to a state where P is from M and Q is from M dash. That is, the first entry is from the first DFA, second entry is from the second DFA. P is from this, let me go for P dash. P is from M, P dash is from M dash. Right? So we start the entry with initial states. We start the entry with initial states. If Q0 is the initial state, then we start. See, starts row construction with Q0 comma Q0 dash. The initial state of M and initial state of M dash. Then what is this entry? This entry is P on A and P dash on A. This entry is delta of P on A will be one state, will be from M, and delta of P dash on A, that is the transition of P dash on A, that will be available in M dash. So we are just checking to which pairs it will go, right? So you get a pair here. In that entry R comma S, let us assume that this is R comma S. In that R comma S, if R belongs to F and S belongs to S does not belong to F does. That means one is final state in M or one is final state in the machine, and the another one, that is S, is not the final state in the another machine. That means this is accepting, this is rejecting, M is accepting, M dash is rejecting, or vice versa. If M rejects, M dash accepts. That means in one case one machine is accepting, one machine is rejecting, or one machine is rejecting, one machine is accepting. So these two cannot be equal. So we declare that these two are not equal. M is not equal to M dash. If this case does not arise, then what happens? Your pair goes on constructing. Suppose I get a new pair R comma S. Then I will take that pair R comma S and I will continue the row construction. This row construction will continue until no new entries or no new rows, no new pairs will result as a result of this computation. Suppose you get one more new row pair here, then I will start constructing the row. Another new pair, then I will start constructing. So this will continue until no new entries or no new pairs. Entry is nothing but your pair. No pairs, new pairs are there. So this will either end with M equal to M dash or end with M equal to M dash. As soon as you get M not equal to M dash, you can stop your construction. Suppose you don't get this, the next result is only this. We'll see an example. Look at it. M dash. Q0, Q0 dash. Initial state of M, initial state of M dash, A comma 1. A on A, 1 on A. A on A goes to B and 1 on A goes to 2. So B comma 2. B comma 2. B is non-final state, 2 is non-final state. Then A comma 1 on B. So A on B is A, 1 on B is 1. So A comma 1. Both are non-final states. So new pair B comma 2, B comma 2. A comma 1 is not a new pair. It's already constructed. So B comma 2 is a new pair. B on A, 2 on A is B comma 3. B is non-final state and 3 is non-final state. Right? Then B on B is C and 2 on B is 4. 2 on B is state 4. So C comma 4. New state, new pair B comma 3 and new pair C comma 4. So I have constructed for B comma 3 and also for C comma 4. Now all pairs which you are seeing in the row entries are either both of them are final states or both of them are non-final states and no more new states, and hence every pair either of this format or of this format, and hence and no new pairs. Your row construction will complete, right? Nothing new. Everything it will round in between all these pairs m and m dash. So I say these two are equal. M and m dash are equal. Or in other words, both of them will accept the same language. The language is the strings ending with A, comma B. The language for this is both of them. Both of them will accept the same thing. If you minimize this, you will come to this point. Don't worry, but you can check it without minimization. Another example. This example is from the textbook called KLP Mishra and Chandrasekharan. Now, taking to DFS and then applying. For example, the construction has stopped at this point. Let me go for this Q1 comma Q4, Q1, Q4. Both are final states. Q2, Q5, Q2, Q5. Both are non-final states. Then this is a new pair. Q2, Q5 is a new pair. So Q2, Q5. Then Q2 comma Q5 on your input symbols are C and D. So on C, Q2 on C is Q3 and Q5 on C is Q7. Both are non-final states. And Q2 on D, Q2 on D is Q1 and Q5 on D, Q5 on D is Q6. Now in this, Q1 is a final state, Q6 is a non-final state. This is a final state and this does not belong to F1. So this pair, one of them is final state, one of them is non-final. That means whenever there is two FS will end up in this, if you get to D, your M will accept. If you get to D, this M dash will not accept. That means both of them, some strings are rejected in M dash and some strings are accepted in M, and hence M is not equal to M dash. That is how you can check the equality of two. Another important result for checking the regularity or for checking whether a given language is regular or not, there is a theorem called pumping lemma. So this pumping lemma for regular language, this is pumping lemma for regular languages. I'm not going for the proof of the theorem because it is not concentrated in your GATE examination. So just showing you how you can prove that some languages or how you can check whether some languages are regular or not regular using pumping lemma. If L is a regular language, then there exists a constant n. So pumping lemma says that for a regular language L, there is a constant n or there is an integer n such that if you take any strings whose length is greater than or equal to n. So this is applicable only for the strings of length greater than or equal to the constant defined by the pumping lemma. Then the following conditions are satisfied. You can write the string into three parts. You can write the strings into three parts: x, y, z. Three parts, three substrings. First substring is x, second substring is y, third substring is z. And this condition is satisfied. That means the length of x and y is less than or equal to n. That means your x is less than or equal to n. This n is the constant defined by pumping. And y will contain at least one symbol. Length of y is greater than 0 means at least one symbol will be there in y, but it can be any number of symbols, but the maximum limit is, you can see here, the length of x and y combinedly is less than or equal to n, and y is greater than 0. At least one symbol is there, but y can contain symbols to a maximum of value n. What is that n? Constant defined by the pumping lemma. X can contain epsilon also, or x can contain any number of symbols, but y cannot be epsilon. So we don't say any condition on x, but put together x and y, it should be less than or equal to n. It cannot exceed more than n symbols, but y cannot be epsilon. If that is the case, then x y power I z belongs to n. That means y repeated any number of times, x concatenated with y, then y concatenated any number of times including 0, repeating the string y 0 or more number of times followed by concatenated with z will be in the language L. You can observe that this will give you infinite number of strings. Repeating y any number of times or concatenating y any number of times will give you the fact that you can get infinite number of strings in the language L, right? So this is a regular language, and these conditions will be satisfied, then only it is going to be a regular language, right? So these three conditions are very important. 1, 2. So you can always find x, y, z, three such strings, such that you are given taken string whose length is greater than or equal to n is x, y, z. So if you take any string whose length is greater than or equal to n, these three conditions, you can find x, y, z such that these three conditions are satisfied. One thing you have to observe here is the pumping lemma is necessary for the language to be regular, but not sufficient. Not sufficient means even though pumping lemma is satisfied, you cannot say the language is regular. But if the language is regular, it should satisfy pumping lemma. But the other way is not correct. When a language satisfies this, it may be regular, may not be regular. But when it is regular, it should satisfy this pumping lemma. So this is necessary but not sufficient. Simply because pumping lemma is satisfied, you cannot say the language is regular. But if the pumping lemma is not satisfied, then you can say the language is not regular. That is the meaning of this statement. Necessary but not sufficient. It is a tricky thing, but you can get by experience, you can get it. Now let us, so your pumping lemma can be used to prove that some languages are not regular. Some languages are not regular. You can prove it they are not regular, but you cannot prove that when it is satisfied, you cannot compulsorily say that it is regular, right? Now look at this. L equal to 0 power m such that m is prime is a language I am considering, and I want to prove that this is not regular. And it is not. How I can prove that it is not regular? First, I am assuming that L is regular. You can see the strings in the language are infinite. 0, 2, 3 zeros, 5 zeros, 7 zeros, 11 zeros. Next you will get 13 zeros. Next you will get 17 zeros, and so on. The number of zeros is prime. Now let us assume that L is regular. Right? When you assume L is regular, then pumping lemma says there is a constant L. What is that constant? Pumping lemma will not say. What is the value of the constant, or how you have to find that constant? Pumping lemma will not tell you. But pumping lemma says there is a constant. Let us assume that there is a constant and that constant is n. Then by pumping lemma, now let us take p, that is a prime number which is greater than or equal to n. According to number theory, there exists a prime number which is greater than or equal to the constant n. Right? So let p that be the prime number. Then I'll consider 0 power p, that is the p number of zeros, because p is prime, belongs to L because p is prime. I am taking the prime which is greater than or equal to n. Now your string is, the choice of string is very important. So now the string I am considering is greater than or equal to n because p is the prime number. So that many number of zeros belongs to the language. Now if you consider your string, it should be you can find out three substrings x, y, z. It will not tell you how you can find out, but there are three strings x, y, z, and the condition is that y is greater than 0. The length of y is greater than 0. Look at this condition. Length of y is greater than 0. That means at least one 0 or one symbol is there. What is that symbol? 0. Our input alphabet is only 0. So because of this condition, I say that y contains some number of zeros. Let us say that number be q. It is always greater than 0. At least one will be there. So q is greater than 0. Right? Now, if your y contains q number of zeros, then z will contain the remaining number of zeros, some k number of zeros, whatever be the k value. K can be 0 also, we don't bother. Z contains some zeros, and what are the number of zeros in x? P minus q minus k. Because y is containing q number of zeros, and the remaining some zeros are there in z. K number of zeros are there in z, so q, k. So your x will contain how many number of zeros? P minus q minus k. This is your x, y, z. This is always possible, and your y is always the length of y is always greater than 0. Now because q is greater than 0, let me consider I equal to p plus 1. I equal to p plus 1. That is p is prime number which is greater than or equal to n. If I repeat this y p plus 1 number of times, according to the pumping lemma, it should belong to language. It should belong to the language L. Now let me see what happens. X, that is p, how many zeros? P minus q minus k number of zeros, then 0 power q, and this repeated p plus 1 number of times x, y power I is p plus 1, and z is 0 power k. Now look at this, how many number of zeros? P minus q minus k plus pq plus q plus k. Then you can see q and k. So the number of zeros is p plus pq, then 0 power p plus pq means q plus 1 into p. So this many number of zeros will be there in x power I, x, y power I, z. That many number of zeros are there. Now this is not a prime. If you look at this, this is the q is greater than 0. Q is greater than 0. So at least 1 or more than 1. So this is going to be not a prime number. P into something. It can be 2, it can be 3, or it can be any number. So p into k other than 1. Now this is prime, not prime number. So this is a compound number. So the number of zeros is not prime here. In x, y power I, z, for a value of I equal to p plus 1, string contains the number of zeros which are not prime, and hence this does not belong to the language. But what pumping lemma says, any value of I, your string x, y power I, z belongs to L. But we have seen that this does not belong to L. For any combination of this x, y, z, any choice of this x, y, z, this does not belong to L. And hence, what I say is, because pumping lemma is not satisfied, our assumption is wrong. What is our assumption? If it is regular, this must belong to L. This is not belonging to L, and hence our assumption is wrong. Our assumption is that L is regular, so our assumption is wrong, and hence L is not regular. This is how we can prove the languages are not regular. Another example, a power I square. That is, the number of a's is a perfect square. For example, it will contain a, it will contain null string also, but because I greater than or equal to 1, should be a or 4 years. When I equal to 2, you will get 4 years. When I equal to 3, you will get 9 years. When I equal to 4, you will get 16 years. 1 year, 4 years, 9 years, 16 years, then 25 years, and so on. Right? The number of years should be a perfect square. Right? So let us see whether this is regular or not. Assume that L is regular and N be the constant defined by the pumping lemma. When it is regular, pumping lemma should be satisfied, and N is the constant defined by the pumping lemma. Now you have to consider a string whose length is greater than or equal to N. So now I am considering the a power n square, because n is some integer, its square will exist. So let us consider the string w whose length is greater than or equal to n. So I am considering a power n square, that is n square number of a's in the string. This should be xyz. So I have to decompose this into xyz such that length of xy is less than or equal to n and y is greater than 0. Length of xy is less than or equal to n. That is your second condition. Right? Now look at this. If I consider the xy square z, let us say that this is possible. According to pumping lemma, this is possible, and because the length of y is greater than 0, so it should be at least 1. So it is greater than or equal to 1. Right? So if I repeat y 2 times, let me repeat y 2 times, x y square z. This should belong to your language, because according to pumping lemma, x y power I z. Y power I means I repeated any number of times. Suppose I repeat y 2 times, concatenate y 2 times. What happens? Let me see. If I repeat this y 2 times, then the length of this string xyz, the original string, will increase. The length of xy square z is always greater than xyz. Why? Because y contains at least one symbol. Y repeated 2 times means x, y, y, z. So this is always greater than this. The length of your original string xyz, which you have taken, is less than length of xy square z. I am considering the length, the number of a's in this and number of a's in this, right? So this xyz is nothing but n square. The number of a's in this xyz is n square, and the number of a's here. Look at the number of a's here. This is the length of this is always a less than or equal to n square plus n. Why? Because xyz means it is equal to xyz plus length of y, because there are two y's in xy square z. So the length of xy square z is nothing but length of xyz plus length of y. Y is greater than 0, you know, so it is some positive value, and length of xy is less than or equal to n. That is the maximum value for x and y put together is n. Or in other words, y can be a maximum of n. So what I am saying now is y can be a maximum of n, and this is, you know, it is equal to n square. So n square plus n. So this length is always less than or equal to this. Maximum it can go up to n square plus n. The maximum number of symbols in y is up to n. Right? So this is less than or equal to n square plus n. Now because you see n is a positive value, so n square plus n is always less than n square plus 2n plus 1. What is this n square plus 2n? This is n square plus n, and this is n square plus n plus 1. So this is n plus 1 whole square. Right? Now you can see n square and n plus 1 whole square. So the length of this x y square z is in between n square and n plus 1 whole square. which is not a perfect square. When it is not a perfect square, that is the number of a's in x, y square z is not a perfect square, it does not belong to L. When it does not belong to L, L is not regular. Why? Because pumping lemma says it should belong to L. Now I have got a result where x, y square z for some value of I. For some other value it may be in the language, but pumping lemma says for all values it should be in the language. Now for I equal to 2, I have shown that it is not in the language. That means pumping lemma is not satisfied, which indicates that our assumption is wrong. What is our assumption? Our assumption is L is regular, so it is wrong, and hence our assumption L is regular is wrong, and hence L is not regular. This is how we can prove that the languages are not regular. Another example, I hope you can go through this example. We look at the string. String is same string repeated twice. So what I am doing is I am considering the string. Let us n be the constant by the pumping lemma. Then the string I am choosing is the string which you choose should be greater than or equal to n. Now this is greater than or equal to n. The length of this is greater than or equal to n. What is the string? A power n, b power n. That is A repeated n times, b repeated n times. Then once again the same string. So this is of the form WW. WW. Right? And this is greater than or equal to n. So y contains only, as I said, y is greater than or equal to 0 and length of xy is less than or equal to n. Your w is equal to x, y, z. This can be a maximum of n symbols. So if this is your x, y, z, if you want to write this in the form of x, y, z, your xy is always either here, the length of xy is less than or equal to n, right? Or if you move your x and y further, it may contain some a's and some b's. Your y can contain a's and b's, but at most it cannot contain this a and this a, or this b and this b. In which case your xyz can be, y can contain a's from here or a's and b's from here, and b's are only b's from here. If you go for x y power I or x y power 0, what happens? The number of b's here or the number of a's here will decrease than this. Or the other thing is also possible. Your x can stretch a maximum of n and y can contain only b's. The number of b's will decrease or number of a's will decrease because I am removing y. When you remove y, because length of y is greater than 0, at least one symbol will be removed. Y power 0 means repeating y 0 times. That means you are removing y from xyz or from this string. What is possible? You can remove, the removing y means you can remove sometimes only a, or if y contains only b's, you can remove only b's, or the number of a's and b's will decrease than the number of a's or b's or a's and b's from this second part, which does not belong to L. Some a's are decreased or some b's are decreased, so it does not belong to L. In any case, x y power 0 w does not belong to L, and hence your L is not regular. It should belong to L according to pumping lemma. It is not belonging means pumping lemma is not satisfied, means our assumption is wrong, and hence your L is not regular. Is L equal to a power 2n regular? To prove that the language is regular, you cannot use pumping lemma, because it may be regular, may not be regular, right? If at all it is regular, pumping lemma should be satisfied. But when you say pumping lemma is satisfied, you cannot say it is regular, right? So to prove that it is regular, you have to show a regular expression, or you have to show a DFA, you have to show NFA, and so on, right? Because earlier we have seen regular expressions will give you regular languages, and from regular expression you can go for NFA epsilon, and NFA epsilon can give you NFA. NFA you can go to DFA, and any FA can be converted into regular expression, right? You can have regular expression to NFA, NFA to NF epsilon to NFA, NFA to DFA, DFA to regular expression. That means your regular language. If you want to prove that a language is regular, either you show a regular expression, or you show an NFA epsilon, or you show an NFA, or you show a DFA for the language. Now look at this. A power 2n. 2n means the number of A's in L are even. We know the number of A's in L are even. So you just check this. 2 A's, 4 A's, 1, 2, 3, 4. You want 6, 1. Repeat this 2 times, you will get 4 A's. 1 plus 4, 5, and 1, 6. When you reach Q6, it means that there are even number of A's. You can check. This will always give you all strings containing even number of A's, and this is the regular expression. Either you show this or you show the regular expression, which will generate all even number of A's, and hence this language is regular. An example where pumping lemma is satisfied but the language is not regular, because you cannot draw any DFA or any regular expression which will generate strings of this form. This is possible, but this is not possible. You cannot draw a DFA, you cannot draw NFA or NFA epsilon, because the drawback here is you cannot draw FA because the number of A's and number of B's. See, the number of B's and C's are equal. So in order to check whether this string belongs to L or not, you have to remember how many number of B's. No limit. Means 10 B's are there, 10 C's. 10, 100, then 100 C's should be there. 1000 C's should be there. But in your FA, there is no memory to remember the number of B's. You can have only states, one state, one configuration. 2 B's, 2 states, or for 2 B's you can have one state. But for 3 B's you require one more state, and so on. So you cannot draw an FA which will remember the number of B's, different number of B's, and then it has to be compared with the number of C's. So you need to remember how many number of B's, any number, natural number. But it is not possible for FA because there is no memory, and hence whenever you require you need to remember infinite number of configurations for the input string to be checked. You cannot draw an FA as long as the number of patterns or number of matchings for a string to check whether it is in the language or not is limited. You can draw FA. If it is unlimited, you cannot draw FA because it has no memory. Its memory is inherent, or its memory is embedded in its number of states, in its state. State itself is the memory. Because it cannot remember, or you cannot draw FA with infinite number of states, it is not possible to draw the FA for this language. So I'll stop at this point and we'll continue tomorrow.